Hi everybody, Jessie here from jessiebanks.com and welcome back to another video. So for today's video, I'm using Monster Size by MFT Stamps. This is in collaboration with Carissa. I told her I'm not going to attempt to pronounce her last name because I'm really terrified to say her last name, to say the least. But I will have a link to her description box down below. She had this really cool idea to start using stamp sets from our stash that you've never used, so they've never seen ink or anything like that. And I was like, ooh, I might have to steal that idea. And she's like, well, let's do it together on Saturdays. And I'm like, ooh, sounds perfect. So this is the first one. It's my fault that our videos are going up so late in the evening. I had SD card failed, and then by the time I got my son done with swimming and got home and got it filmed and got it edited, and now I'm doing the voiceover, it's just gonna be a little bit late. But I hope you guys enjoy it. So normally I would take this out. I did all of this stamping and then he slipped, and you can see how he's kind of fuzzy, so I started over. This is where those stamp positioners come in handy. I have a bunch of them, but you don't need them either. You can use your old-fashioned acrylic blocks and stuff, and that's kind of what I was after. But this card was not using any extra tools or anything like that, so I did completely restamp it. You can see here, I actually thought I had filming turned off for this, and I was just going to come back with it done right and say, you know, I restamped it the same way. But I figured since I had all the footage and I messed up once, I might as well show you guys that, like, everybody messes up and we all make mistakes, and you either see if you can fix it on that piece or you start over. It's a piece of paper and a little bit of ink. It's not the end of the world. So I went that route and started over. I'm using my T-square ruler here just to make sure that I have everything semi-straight on the card and not all wonky, because I'm not using, no, I had to pull the mask off the other one, because I'm not using a stamp positioner, so I want to kind of make sure everything is still level on the card. So that is what I'm using my T-square ruler for. So that still gives me an idea of where the straight will be, so I'm trying to make it work that way. Now we're going to stamp out all of our little monsters here. I love this set. I need to do more cards with this set, but I figured it hasn't seen ink, so we'll use it for this one. So they're absolutely adorable. I really love this set from MFT. I love everything from MFT. It's an addiction, I swear. So I did pull out my Inktense pencils for this one. I haven't used my Inktense pencils in forever. Like very, very long time. So I figured, well, since we're using stamp sets that haven't seen ink, I might as well use an ink pad or a coloring medium that hasn't been used in a rather long time. So that's why I pulled those out. And that sentiment is from the same stamp set, of course. So that one says, "Scream, it's your birthday." Love this thing. I think it's absolutely adorable. It's definitely not my favorite card I've ever made, but I was still really, really happy with it. I'm not sure what I'm doing now. Oh, look. It's me putting everything away because Jessie had the recording on the entire time and didn't mean to record any of this. So this is what you get. Look, isn't it riveting YouTube content here? I do like to leave them sit for just a second to make sure I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black ink to make sure that my ink is dry, and then I'm going to sharpen a couple pencils to get started, and then we're going to jump into the coloring. Then stuff gets fun. We're gonna make it colorful. So the first one I pulled out here is called Red Violet. I'm going to do that guy in the center. So I'm just going through and I'm adding some pencil directly onto the paper, and then I'm going to blend it out just with the paintbrush and water. I did decide in the end that that wasn't quite bright enough, so I do end up taking my paintbrush and pulling the color directly off of the pencil. If I could go back to when I bought these, I probably wouldn't buy the pencils. I would probably buy the blocks and just use them like a palette and paint right off of them. That just seems to be my preferred way to use them, but I have the pencils, so I'm not going to go and buy the blocks as well until if I ever run out of the pencils, which they are lasting forever, so I can't see that happening, and I'm not complaining. I like mediums that last a very long time. That's always a bonus when you don't have to repurchase things very often. So this one is called Teal Green, and the other one was Fern Green, I do believe, on the little guy upside down there doing like a cartwheel. So I'm just going in and adding random spots, and then we'll blend all of that out. This card comes together relatively fast. I do dry it in between with my heat gun. I didn't record any of that, so you can definitely just force dry it. Then you don't have to wait for it to dry naturally. The fun thing about Inktense is if you've completely saturated the color, I guess, and don't have any of the dry pigment left on the paper. Once you completely saturate it and blend it out and it dries, it becomes permanent. So that's a real neat thing about these pencils, is that they're an ink instead of just being a water-soluble medium. I love them. They're fun. I need to use them more. Hopefully I will remember and start using them in more videos and things for everybody. I know lots of us have different things kicking around that we've never used, haven't used often, should probably use more. So I'm going to try and do a lot more of that this year and keep up with the filming and getting it done a whole lot faster. So I live in Saskatchewan, for those of you that don't know. I'm like in the middle of Canada, frozen tundra land. We got snow. We haven't had very much snow at all this year. It's actually rained twice in January, which, I mean, it shouldn't rain here in January. But we got snow last night. So this morning my son has swimming lessons, and those always go great. And then we went by the shop for the company I work for, and for my painting company. So we went by there and had lunch. My mom and dad were there, so we went there and had lunch, and then came home, and he got to shovel half of the driveway. He was not happy about it. My son's almost 8, and he does lots of chores and things inside of the house, but there hasn't been, like I said, there hasn't been snow this year, so he hasn't had to shovel. So he's out there shoveling, and he's making an absolute mess. And I knew he was going to. Like, it wasn't the principle of having the driveway be perfect. It's the principle of, you're 8 years old, you live here, you have to contribute to the household, and this is one of your chores. Go shovel it. I'll fix it later. But I'm standing there and I'm watching him, and he's talking to himself. Which, I mean, it kind of looks like I'm talking to myself right now while I'm filming this, but whatever. Anyway, so he's talking to himself. So I sneak over and I open up the outside door and I'm listening to him, and he goes, she makes me shovel the driveway, and it's going to take me forever. This isn't fair. Why do I have to shovel the driveway? She's the one that drives the car. And I said, excuse me? And he looks at me and goes, sorry, Mom. He started shoveling again. I laughed. I closed the door and I laughed so hard. So he got it all shoveled, or what he thought was shoveled. And then I went out and I tidied up the 2 edges, and I gave him back the shovel, and I showed him how to walk back and forth just to push it to one side and the other to get all the snow basically off of the driveway. Yeah, he was not happy that he had to shovel, but it's good for him. He'll get over it. He didn't die. But it was entertaining, to say the least, today. And then I went downstairs to refilm this, because my first video for this little collab with Carissa didn't go over very well, and my SD card went south and I didn't have it done, so I had to get this done for her. And after I finish this, it is now 5:30 and I have to go make supper, and I think we're having taco salad, because taco salad is super fast to put together. I can fry the beef and then just cut everything up and away we go. It's not going to take forever. So in case you were wondering what I was eating, yes, I'm rambling. Wow. Now you've heard about my son and my supper plans. Congratulations. So I'm just taking this for now, and I'm adding some more darker color to the little guy on the end. I've just been slowly building up the color on all of these little guys. I did get some of the teal into the one guy's eye, so I do take the white pencil after and add a little bit of white. It doesn't completely go away, but it softens it enough that I'll live with it. So just getting this color on there. Add those shadows in a little bit so they're not quite so flat. When I do the background, I do pull out my watercolors. I have one of those Magello palettes, but it's the one that only has 18 wells. I need to get the bigger one with 33. I haven't been able to order it yet, so I have to pull the trigger and do that one of these days, hopefully. But I have little dabs of watercolor all over this palette, on the clear thing that goes inside, on the white mixing area in the bottom, all over the place. With different Daniel Smith colors and core colors and all of my different tubed watercolors. So I need to get a bigger one just so I can put them a little bit more appropriately in the palette. Sorry about that whole little funny noise at the end. That's what happens when you have to record while your son is awake and you're sitting in your bedroom and your microphone's on your blanket and it falls over. And it sounds really bad. I hope I cut most of that out for you guys. Now we're just adding some neutral gray, I think it's called, into the insets of the mouths just to make those teeth pop out. This is aqua blue, or no, this is white. Sorry, not aqua blue. This is white. Holy Jessie. It's been a long day. I have to go finish baking cookies after this. This is Sepia ink. I started by just adding a little bit of grounding. This is when I thought I was going to do the background and everything with these pencils. So I did this and I kind of liked it, and then I was like, you know what? That's a lot of work to make a background out of these things, because again, I have the pencils, not the blocks. I should really get the blocks. Tell me I don't need to get the blocks. Please tell me I don't need to get the blocks. Now I'm going to add some orange into his hair and then red onto the middle monster's little things, Frankenstein thingies on the side of his head. And then I'm like, can't do it all with that, so I pull out my watercolors. You'll see that here in a moment. So I pulled out, see what I mean by there's little dabs of watercolor all over the place? Yep, that's exactly how it is. I grabbed a bigger watercolor brush here. This is, I think it's a number 10. It's an 8 or a 10, one of the two. Probably the 8. I'm going to say that's the 8. So I'm just filling in the whole white area in the background just with some clean, clear water. I don't know why I always have issues saying that, but filling it in so that I can just drop in some watercolor and have it do its own thing all over the background. If you make sure that your paper is wet, the watercolor will kind of bloom out and disperse on its own, kind of out of its own free will. And I really like that look, especially when I want to do a splashy watercolor background like this one. Normally I'd do them and then layer the images on top, but I figured I could do it on one layer. We can make this work. I do get a little bit of bleeding inside of the monsters. I cleaned some of it up. It's not so bad. It looks really cute when it's done. I'm super pumped with the way this one came out, so I don't know offhand what the colors are. I'm going to guess it's quinacridone purple, quinacridone rose, cobalt teal, and phthalo blue. That'll be my guesses at the 4 colors that I put in the background. It's really not needed to know or use exactly the same colors, but I know some people like to know, and a lot of the time when I watch people, I like to know exactly what colors they're using, just so I get an idea of how they're going to react if I attempt it with the same colors. So it's nice to kind of remember that. So I'm just letting them all bleed together and create kind of like a tie-dyed, really loose watercolory, flowy type background. So we just keep dropping in colors. Some more purple. And I kind of paint with the side of the brush when I'm doing this, as opposed to just the tip of the brush. It just kind of makes it look a little more free, I find, when I do it. So here I was going to use that teal, and then I decided that it was almost the same color, so I switched over to the phthalo blue and I put that up there instead of more teal. Then then I'm going to do the grounding here. I decided that that wasn't quite enough with all this in the back, so I just used a little bit of lunar black to do that. Now I'm going to take this Chinese ink color and add some shading onto our monsters, just to give them a little more definition and make them look a little bit more bold than the background. Right now they kind of look like they all blend together, so I'm just adding a little bit of that, and then I'll take my wet brush in again and blend that out, just to give it a little bit stronger shading. I find it makes a really big difference on how they pop off of the card. So, and I'm not pulling it out very far, I'm more just kind of wetting it so that it's set in place and it looks like paint as opposed to pencil lines. So we'll get all of that done, and that will be the end of the card. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I will have a link to Carissa's channel down below, so definitely if you don't follow her or you haven't seen her video yet, pop over and check that one out. She's super talented. I adore her. She's an absolute sweetheart. If you're not a subscriber here, please subscribe, leave me a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.